The most successful team in recent memory is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They look like brothers. Their mom dresses them the same, bandanas and ninja weapons. Kevin, why do you think the Turtles are so popular?
The fact that you have four brothers, each with their unique personalities and you know, their different interests. You know, you've got the gadget one. You know, Donatello, the techno, you know, geek, and Michelangelo, the goofball and stuff. And any group of kids you get together with, brother and sisters or kids on the playground, you know, you have all these different things, and they all sort of blend together to this gang or group or just guys that, you know, or girls that, you know, that hang out together. That, I think, has something to do with it. The fact that they all come together in a conflict, to work together to overcome it, you know, despite all the differences and arguing the way brothers or friends do. I mean, you know a good friend when you can have a knockout fight with them and then still be friends with them the next day, you know.
Together, there is nothing your four minds cannot accomplish. I love you all, my sons.
Yes, even superheroes need family. Writers seem to be saying that once you've found someone to love, a family, then all other problems are solvable. It's like how many fairy tales end with, and they lived happily ever after, blah, 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 blah. Family's a major element in fairy tales and in fantasy fiction. Merriam Zimmer Bradley's Darkover series of books follows the adventures of 7 large families who developed psionic powers. You can actually tell which family someone is from by the kind of mental powers they have. Telekinetic, eh? You must be one of the Johnson boys. Anyway, the 20-odd books in this series have a very strong, simple message, and that is family is the key to survival. Guy Gavriel Kay writes about the survival of the family unit itself in his novel, Tigana.
When you're working with a Renaissance theme, as I have in Tigana, one of the elements that comes through inescapably in even the most cursory reading in Renaissance history is the fact that in a turbulent, dangerous age, the only thing that could be counted on was your family. That the notion of family was so much more powerful, so much more central to the life of any individual then than it is now in our denuclearized, fragmented society. That it's extraordinary. It was one of the things that most interested me in evoking a Renaissance flavor to the book. At the same time, in Tigana, I was extremely interested in another phenomenon, which is how tyranny or oppression, conquest, work their way down to the smallest units of human interaction, and they begin to fragment and disrupt links and bonds that might have been seen to be sacrosanct previously. So in Tigana, you have family members betraying each other, and exploring the family unit in that way was a central theme of the book.
Science fiction where family is a central theme? Robert A. Heinlein again. The Rolling Stones, the story of a family of nutty eccentrics on a vacation round the solar system. Methuselah's Children, a family of near immortals. Farnham's Freehold, a nuclear family goes through a nuclear war. Pamela Sargent, in her Venus books, she explores how a family of settlers changes over several generations, sort of like How the West Was Won, only on Venus.
What I've been trying to do in my Venus books in particular is write something where I'm using the family not in the sense of just a family saga and it's a yarn and it just happens to have science fiction in it, but using the family and the particular way that it changes within, you know, from generation to generation, what happens to each of these people, to reflect what's going on around them and to reflect this vast project that I have of terraforming Venus. And I think that that's an interesting way to use families in science fiction, and it's probably something more writers could do, because you can do a lot with that just through the relationships and reflecting the society around it and the changes through what happens within a particular family.
He's his father's son. She has her mother's temper. You got that from my side of the family. There's a lot of granddad in you. I want a gal just like the gal that married dear old dad. We are born from families, we are raised by families until we go out and start our own families. And whether we seek it or reject it, and however we define it, family is the most powerful force shaping our lives.
In science fiction, there's an enormous tendency to ignore the quotidian, the day-to-day, the everyday life of people. And in Golden Fleece, I thought, you know, that's not right. People have families. They have mothers, they have fathers, they have brothers and sisters, some have children. They have to relate to these people. And even if it's 200 years from now, even if you're on a starship, you're still going to be shaped and molded by what experiences you had at the hands of your family. And my character, Aaron, has some pretty brutal ones at the hands of his uncle. And you're going to be responding to those things. The most important thing 200 years from now is not going to be proton, anti-proton reactions. It's going to be, how do we deal with our loved ones? How do we deal with our sister, our brother? How do we deal with family and personal relationships? That's going to be #1 on the human agenda for all time.
Blood is thicker than electrons.
Oh, absolutely. Blood is the thickest fluid in the world. It really is. In the universe, it is what binds us together and makes us human.
Uh-oh. I think they're cutting me off. What science fiction does so well is to force us to look at things in a new light. And for 50 years, it's been promoting a message that I think the politicians, the scientists, the business leaders, and religious leaders have only vaguely understood. And that message is, we are all family. The entire human race is one family. All countries are family, which probably explains why they get along so poorly. I mean, the Americans, they borrow all our natural resources and they never replace anything. And how are we supposed to sleep with all that noise going on over in the Middle East? And you know, when communism died and they read the will, we were left out completely. We didn't get a thing, not a thing. And Britain always loved Australia more. Always. I don't want to hear another word. It's true. They did. They did. And I heard Germany's back together again. Well, I give it a year at the most. Did you hear this? Don't tell anyone, but apparently Quebec wants a separation. Yes, no, it's true. They do. And I think Japan is seeing China. I do. Next week on Second Nature, we are rapidly overloading our nation's capacity to supply electricity. One of the largest and most inefficient electrical consumers is the ordinary TV set. We'll see how to avoid using it. Don't miss it next week on Second Nature.